All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's RGX Coach Spotlight. I am RGX coach and mentor Dan Bubany, and it's good to see some familiar names on there. Kayla, I see you logging on with your gigantic headset. Scott, there you are. Welcome. Sorry for the confusion with the time this morning, but it's good to see everybody. Today, we're going to just go through a brief coach spotlight. I'm going to kind of introduce myself and some of the things that I've done to succeed in RGX in a very short time. And then every couple of weeks, we will have another call just like this, spotlighting another coach. More than likely, I'll be kind of leading a Q&A just to kind of let that coach explain his or her success. I don't know if many of you know me, but I kind of explain, I have kind of a unique background coming into the golf industry. And I'm really looking forward to sharing my story with you because RGX has absolutely changed my life. So my name is Dan Bubany. And my motto, not just because I'm a big swoosh guy, is just do it. And I'll explain more, about why that is and why I believe that as we go along here. But welcome and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to present some things about me and kind of what I've been up to the last year or so. And then the last half of the call, I fully anticipate just opening it up to Q&A. Any questions or anything that you may have for me. I'll also be watching the chat box. So if you have a question that you either want to send me directly or not comfortable sharing, or you want to send to the entire group, feel free to, put it in the chat box and I'll be monitoring that and trying to get to that as quickly as I can. So first and foremost, oh boy, that was me with hair. So now you know why I'm wearing a hat. I say I have kind of a unique background in that I came to the golf industry from the television news industry. I started off, I was a TV, sports, and then news anchor. I used to have a lot more hair than I do now. Now I just wear hats everywhere. But I came to the golf industry after being in television for almost 10 years. I won a couple of Emmy Awards, and I was living on the East Coast at the time back in South Carolina, decided my family was all from the West Coast. I'm from Arizona originally, and I wanted to move kind of closer to them. So I decided to move back out West. And I got into sales initially. And then after just a few years, I decided this was not for me. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I decided to attend the Golf Academy of America in Phoenix. And in fact, one of my former Golf Academy of America classmates, Mr. Corbin Disney, is on this call today. Corbin, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. So hopefully we'll be able to catch up as this call progresses, but really cool. Golf has just opened up my life in so many different ways, but I started at the Golf Academy and kind of got a high level overview of what the golf industry entailed. And then I started working at La Paloma Country Club as an assistant golf professional here in Tucson, Arizona in May of 2016. So I was elected to PGA membership a couple of years later, October of 2018. I was on a fast track. I just kind of put my head down. Summers in Arizona are really slow, obviously, because of the heat. And it was a really good opportunity for me to just go and get my PGA certification. And so it only took me a couple of years. I passed my playing ability test, went through a fast track, and became a PGA professional in October of 2018. So then I kind of started to have some challenges. I was in the golf shop, and I was kind of at that crossroads in my career where, assistant golf professionals seem to kind of become head golf professionals, but I'd always had this passion for kind of teaching and for coaching and for working with other people and helping other people play better golf. And this was dating back to my time when I was at the Golf Academy, and I didn't really know which way to go. I was kind of at that, that crossroads in my career, and I was working 30 hours in the golf shop, and I was, coaching or teaching 10 hours a week, but my demand exceeded the supply. So I was booked 3 weeks in advance, and I had a waiting list of 30 people, and I could not coach all of the people who I wanted to teach or coach. I could only teach 10 hours a week because the golf shop needed me for other things. Well, I had a college degree, a background in broadcast journalism from Arizona State, and then I had an associate's degree from the Golf Academy of America, and then I had my PGA of America certification, and I was one of only 2 PGA professionals on site, and I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just answer phone calls and book tee times. I felt like something was missing, and I wanted to do more and something different. I felt underpaid, I felt overworked, and I felt underappreciated. Tell me if that sounds like you. You're standing in the golf shop. You're like, yeah, Kayla raises her hand. You're like, I'm making nothing. right? I'm coming from the television news industry, which paid very well, and was well compensated and really enjoyed what I did, and no 2 days were alike. And it was like that in the golf business, but I always felt like I was putting out fires, and I was working long hours. And right around the same time, my wife and I, we'd started a family. So we had, one young son at home, and then now we have two. And it's like, I didn't have enough time for them. And then at the end of the day, I just felt underappreciated. I was a PGA professional. I had all these people who wanted to work with me, and I wanted to work with them. And I was told, no, we just need you to stand, behind the counter in the golf shop. And we have these giant bay windows behind the golf shop counter, and behind and across the street, you can see the driving range and the golf course. And it's like, I would look out the window and I would be like, that's where I want to be. I was miserable. So it got to the point where here we are, the spring of 2020, what happens? The pandemic hits. And all of a sudden, I am just miserable. Lessons are suspended. I used to enjoy that drive to work. And now it took like a week or 10 days. And I'm like, gosh, what is wrong with me? And I realized that 25 to 30% of every single one of my days were spent out on the range or out on the golf course, helping members, helping guests play better golf. And that was all taken away when lessons were suspended due to the pandemic. And I was just miserable. Well, right around the same time, I stumbled upon Will Robbins Becoming the Modern Coach through PGA.Coach. It was this video presentation series that he released in the winter and spring of 2020. And I just devoured it. I just could not believe the things that he was saying. And I tell people he was articulating things and putting into words for me, things that I couldn't put into words myself. And so I get to the end of the video series, and it says, well, would you like more information? And, I'm somebody who always will take more information, not less. And before I know it, I'm on a call with Will. And it was the coolest thing. I'm like, I can't believe I'm on this call with this guy who presented this video series. And it was so great. And we had this call. And before I know it, Will becomes my coach and mentor. And I told Will, and this is really, really important because we've all been in this situation where I knew I needed to get out. That crossroads, that fork in the road was now very clear. I realized that if I was going to become a head golf professional, it was likely going to mean more time behind a counter, more time behind a desk, more time doing things like scheduling and payroll and HR, things that I did not want to do. I wanted to be outside on the golf course. And so then I knew, okay, well, instruction is really where I need to be moving. And I told Will, I just said, Will, I got to get out. I got to get out of the golf shop. And I told him I was willing to write RGX a blank check in order to just get me out of the shop. I was like, I'm so miserable. Just get me out here. I'll cut. Money didn't matter anymore because I was so unhappy that no amount of money could have kept me in the golf shop. I just needed to get out. And so when I first came on, I said, okay, well, Will is all about guaranteed results and RGX is all about guaranteed results. And at the time I'd made an investment, which to me, when again, I'm willing to write a blank check to get out of there. $2,500 is like nothing, So I'm like, oh, great. $240, $225 a month to get me out of the golf shop. Great. And Will had made this guarantee that he was going to double my investment within 90 days. I'm like, well, how can you lose? Right? Results based. So then I decided, okay, well, not only did I want to achieve that goal in my first 90 days, something that Will and RGX had guaranteed, I wanted to go big. I wanted to try to make $100,000 coaching in my very first year of doing this. And I felt like at the time I was booked 3 weeks in advance. I had a waiting list 30 people long. I was starting to make that transition. I remember sitting down in my general manager's office, and we had a series of meetings. And I said, guys, I want to get out of the golf shop. And it was like the DJ and the record player in the back of the room stopped. It was like, what? What did he just say? And I said, yeah, I want to get out of the golf shop. And I felt so strongly about this. I describe it as feeling like I was on fire. And I told them, I said, guys, I don't just want to do this. I have to do this. And I was willing to go. If I had to leave to do it, I was going to do it because I felt so strongly about what it was that I had to do. If I couldn't do it at La Paloma, I was going to go do it somewhere else. And it was because not only did I want to double my investment, but I also wanted to, I felt underappreciated. I felt underpaid. I was told that, I couldn't be paid a certain salary because I would be making more than anyone else on the property. And I just refused to accept that answer. That, to me, it just wasn't good enough. And I said, okay, well, if I can't do it within the confines or the structure of this, well, then I'm going to do this myself. And my goal was $100,000. So I was thinking, okay, not really knowing what was going to happen and seeing that people, basically hadn't gone anywhere because of the pandemic. Normally they're going, Pacific Northwest, Midwest, back East. Well, nobody was going anywhere. So I had, in addition to being really, really full, I had even more demand because people didn't go anywhere for the summer. So they were in Arizona and they needed golf instruction. So then I started working with RGX. And as I said, I just devoured, Will's video series on pj.coach. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly encourage you to watch it, because I think it's going to do what it did for me, which is just to put into words, to articulate the way that you're feeling. And maybe, you feel like you're the only one who feels this way. Like you feel like, I'm all alone. I'm all by myself. And I don't know, I need to get out. I don't know how I'm going to get out. And, it's just hard to go to work every day. Well, Will Robbins and RGX is the answer. They helped me to get where I needed to go. And it started with that initial call with Will. I remember it was just a 30-minute conversation, but he gave me hope. He gave me confidence. And he and I together helped put a plan in place where we had a series of meetings with my management. And that meeting culminated with, guys, I need to get out of the shop. But I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. I needed help. I needed persuading. I needed coaching. I needed somebody in my corner who believed in me, who had been there before, who could kind of help me navigate where it was that I wanted to go, and to just give me the confidence and the hope to know that, look, you think this is really hard and this is really daunting, but it's not. Other coaches I've worked with have done it before. I've done it before. You can do it too. And here's how you can do it too. So it was a very clear path and a clear roadmap. So it was a very easy decision to sign on with RGX. To me, doubling my initial investment was a no-brainer. And like I said, I was so desperate, no amount of money was too much money for me to get out of the golf shop. And so then, as I said, not only did I get to work with Coach Will, but I got to work with guys like Jay Cook and Jared Butts, and this team and this community of coaches that Will had surrounded himself with at RGX that really helped give me the confidence that I needed to make that jump. So Will's, specialty and primary responsibility was coming up with that financial plan, that financial argument that I could present to management to explain to them why it was financially a good decision to let me out of the golf shop, because I was a more valuable associate, a more valuable employee if I was coaching, because I'd be making more money for the facility, not just through coaching, but through food and beverage, through green fees, all these different things. Will help me present that argument. Then Jared came in and helped me with my programming. Well, how was I going to do that? What did that look like? What did my coaching calendar look like? What did every day look like? And then Jay, to save the best for last, really helped me decide why it was that I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And this was really important. This is how I came to feel like I was on fire, that my passion was reignited. And Jay and I had several calls and went through several exercises to basically boil down to my why. Why is it that you wanted, in my case, if I turn it to myself, why did I want to get out of the golf shop? Well, I felt overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. I had a young family. I craved greater work-life balance. I didn't want to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week anymore for what I was making. There was a better way. And then it got to the point where I no longer believed in the individual one-on-one private lesson model. I just came to, the most common complaint I heard was, I can do it over here. And people would point to the range, but I can't do it over there. And they point over their shoulder. And there was the golf course. And, where the driving range is this nice flat deck, and you've got a crate full of golf balls. You hit a bad shot, you just bring in another one. Well, on the golf course, there's, even on the tee boxes, on some of them, there's not even a flat lie. And then you only have one golf ball, and you have a scorecard and a pencil, and there's a result and an expectation, and there's all this tension. And nobody trains like that on the driving range, or for the most part, they don't know how. Then they go on the golf course and they wonder why it doesn't translate, why they play so terribly. When there's only one golf ball, there's boundaries on either side, and you have to keep your ball in play. Well, no kidding. So all of the coaching and mentoring that I got helped me to come up with this belief system. And that belief system was really important because then when I went out and started talking to my players about what it is that I was thinking about doing and what I wanted to do, my message was very clear and very concise. It wasn't very wordy. It came from my heart. I was passionate about it. And I remember a couple of players who I approached first, had flat out told me, I want to be coached. And when they first told me, I was like, well, great. Like, I don't really know what to do or what to offer you. But as a result of the coaching that I received, well, then I knew what to do and I knew what to say. And I remember sitting down with one of them, and we were sitting down and I was telling him what I was doing and how my passion had been reignited and how my focus had shifted. And we're sitting there and I'm at the edge of my seat. Like he's across the table and I'm at the edge of my seat. And I didn't even mention how much it was going to cost or what it was going to entail. And he just went, I'm all in. And he said, I can tell by your body language. I can tell by how excited you are, the way you're talking to me, that you're excited and I'm excited too. And I want to be part of it. And I was like, well, that's really cool. But I wouldn't have been at that point without the coaching that I had received. And so then, as I'm going through this process, I'm, to unlock your PGA, becoming the modern coach training, you've got to go through the ADM training on PGA.coach, which is all about becoming the modern coach. And it's ADM is the American development model where, rather than having, juniors specialize on a certain sport and face things like burnout or overuse injuries very early on, you do a series of things with them based on their age, or you encourage them to play as many sports as possible until they get to be, 12, 13, 14. And then if they want to specialize, well, go right ahead, because now you see that you've got a real talent and a passion for a certain something. But that's what that ADM model is all about. And it's really good. I highly recommend you watch that if you haven't already. And then that will unlock the PGA and becoming the modern coach video series, which is what I devoured and just thought was so good. And then I always joke too, because I don't know if you've met Will or heard Will speak, but Will's from England. So pretty much anything he says is hilarious and captivating. So I think you'll find it very entertaining. And that's the Becoming the PGA Modern Coach series. Then what you'll do is you'll create a PGA coach profile. And this has been really cool because I've actually generated, I would say I've had probably 5 or 6 leads just based on my PGA coach profile. And it's actually generated, I had 2 players actually this summer and one who's in a coaching program now who came to me as a direct result of the PGA coach profile that I'd created on PGA.coach. So it's just another way for players to come and find you. And, they can ask, for things like, I'm just looking for help with my junior golfer, or I want to shoot lower scores. Great. They come to me, they search by zip code, and then they're coming and they're able to get coaching from me. And all I did was fill out a little profile explaining kind of what it was that I did and a little bit more about myself. And that's through my affiliation with the PGA of America. So what I've accomplished so far. So I get out of the golf shop finally, officially in October of 2020. So this was a big step. I basically, as I was continuing to work in the shop, I was filling my coaching programs beginning October, November, December. So when I left the shop, I was getting out, but I was busy. I was full, and we were getting ready to go into high season and nobody had left. So our high season, which is typically in Arizona from maybe November 1st through April 30th, it really was like there was no off season. It was all high season. You guys, probably a lot of you experienced the same thing. So I get out of the shop and I start coaching full time. At this point, I'm still an associate. So as an associate, I'm still getting an hourly wage. I'm still getting benefits. I'm still getting 401k, but my lesson revenue split is 70-30. We had come up with the paperwork, and it, needed to go through corporate approval to become an independent contractor. And that was going to become a 90-10 split. Well, when I got out in October, I'm like, and we started working on the paperwork when I was still in the shop in September. I'm like, I should be out of here before the first of the year. Like there's no way this isn't going to happen. And it just dragged on and on and on. So while I was coaching full time in October, I wasn't really an independent contractor until April. So remember, I'm doing a 70-30 revenue split. I didn't go 90-10 as an independent contractor when I was responsible for my benefits and my retirement until April 1st. So really, I've only been on my own for like 6 months. Where I'm just completely responsible for everything. But as a result of my transition to coaching full time, I went from being very restricted, say 10 hours a week. So figure 10 players, right? In a one-on-one, 1 hour lesson model. Now I'm working with nearly 5 times as many players each week. because I'm doing 4-person coaching programs. I'm doing a coaching program before lunch and after lunch. We're on the golf course. We're off the golf course. I mean, it was so much fun. And now I'm working with almost 5 times as many people. So, and I'm not just working with them, not like, I would give somebody a lesson and then, oh, hey, I'll see you in 3 weeks. It was like, no, I'll see you at 10 o'clock next Tuesday when we're off course. And it was great. I started to build even deeper and more meaningful relationships with the members at our club, with the players I was coaching, and we were having a heck of a lot of fun, and players were getting results. And that was the coolest thing was that, and I'd often joke, hey, have you ever heard a PGA professional guarantee anything? I would joke, well, you'd hear tires screeching out of the parking lot and a trunk slamming before you hear a PGA professional guarantee anything. But I was able to guarantee the result, and through the training and the coaching I had received, and I was getting those results. So it was even better. And the players were really, really excited about the results that they were getting, and they were telling their friends. And so word of these coaching programs was just spreading. And I was sold out. I didn't have room for them. So I was like, hey, I used to be booked 3 weeks in advance. Well, now I'm booked 3 months in advance, and I can put you on a waiting list. So as a result of this transition, I've been able to guarantee results for over 100 players. So all of these players are achieving their goals and achieving their success. And that was one thing that, I was kind of fearful of at the beginning, right? I mean, geez, I'm going to guarantee a result. Otherwise, I'm going to coach someone for free. Oh my goodness, that makes me nervous. Well, I was told by the coaches who were coaching me, look, just trust it, implement it. It works. Okay. So I did it and it worked. And I didn't have to coach anyone for free. It was great. And some of the players went on to another coaching program. And some players said, well, I wanted to take a break and I've got a trip coming up in the spring or whatever. Well, I had a long waiting list. So it was fine. I just moved somebody else in. And so as a result of this coaching and these coaching programs, and this is something that was really important to me too, not only just getting results for my players, but golf is very measurable, right? You can measure as a coach by the number of shots you're able to drop for your players and offer your players games. So the first challenge I took was a 100-shot challenge. It took me 8 players to drop 103 shots. And since then, I've dropped 225 shots, and I'm close to 250 shots dropped off my player scores. So that's really cool. When you get somebody who comes in, and I don't know if you experience this. I mean, I experienced this level of success a little bit in teaching. You'd have somebody come back and say, hey, I shot a great score. But with coaching, it's so much different because your players are getting more time with you, and you're getting more time with them, and they're getting better results. And it's not uncommon for somebody who's, maybe not able to break 100 to break 90 within 2 or 3 sessions, just because of the mindset and the change that you're making, and the fact that you're able to get out on the golf course and you're able to help players navigate through all those situations and all those scenarios that you could never possibly cover in just an hour, 45 minutes on the range, because you're like, oh, hey, time's up. I got to go to my next session. I mean, you don't really have 2.5 hours to play golf or to play 9 holes with somebody typically, right? Because you need to be back in the shop, answering phones and booking tee times and taking inventory. And, oh no, the bathroom is out of toilet paper. Like, no, So I went from, as I said, being booked 3 weeks in advance to 3 months in advance. And my waiting list increased from 30 to nearly 200 people. And word of this program spread. I mean, I still have people coming up to me now and they're like, hey, I've heard about this and I'd like to get, and it's really neat. It's amazing what the word of mouth advertising has done. And when people get those results and they want to follow you, they want their friends to follow them too. And then your friends want to follow you. And you've built this tremendous community of people who are having more fun. They're playing more golf. They're getting great results. They're spending more money on food and beverage. And now they're at the golf course. If they're going to the range, they're practicing the right things to help them to achieve their goal, to get those results on the golf course. And they're spending more money because they're at the facility longer. So it's just a win, 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 win. It's wins all across the board. It is the most amazing thing. It really is. So as we sit here today, I am on pace to make close to $100,000 this year. I would say that if that transition to an independent contractor had happened sooner, I would have already been there. I mean, with a 90-10 split, wouldn't even have been close. It's going to be close now because we didn't get, only the last 6 months have been that 90-10 split. But again, with the help of this RGX community. And that's, when you're with RGX, you're part of a coaching community. And I believe some of the best coaches in the whole world. So, you put things out on the RGX community, you're getting suggestions. I mean, I'm always looking for ways and new and creative ways to increase revenue and to generate additional revenues. And we've got this whole network of coaches who can help you. A lot of you are getting ready to enter your off seasons if you're not there already, and you're going, what am I going to do? Well, what can I offer? What can I offer my players? All I have access to is a simulator. Well, you can still continue to coach them. But those are questions you put out to the RGX community, because guess what? I guarantee that somebody else who's in your situation now was in your situation before. They can help you navigate through those waters. And that's why this is revolutionizing golf instruction, because we're all here to learn and grow and develop together. And chances are we've all been there before, or one of us has been there before and can help, as we move forward. So just looking at some of the numbers and putting those numbers to pictures, here's where I went. In May of 2020, I was making about $2,500, and that was, in a good month of teaching. And then flash forward 1 year, May of 2021, I was able to make almost $14,000 in 1 month coaching. So this is where the golf shop and the golf operation said, we can't pay you a salary. You're not, you'd be the highest paid employee on the property. Okay, well then I'll become an independent contractor and I'll find a way to do it myself. And these are the kinds of numbers, you think these numbers are ridiculous. Like, again, my initial investment was $2,500. And I'm like, gosh, that feels like a lot of money. But I was willing to write a blank check. Who cares? And that's the kind of money I was able to make. I remember holding a check in my hand, and I took a picture of it, and I sent a picture to Will and to Jared. And I said, guys, this is the biggest paycheck I've ever held in my hands. And I used to be a television news anchor. And it was like a dream. It was like, pinch me. Like, this doesn't even make sense, but it's real. And it's not just me. Coaches within RGX all over the country and all across the world are having these same results. And you can have those results too. So my hourly rate, and this is one of the initial pushes that you're going to hear, is you want to double your hourly rate. I was making $85 an hour to teach individual private lessons. And right away, first day, I said, I'm going up to 170. Well, how was I able to do that? I was able to do that because I went from the individual one-on-one instruction or lesson model to a group coaching model. So now I was coaching 4 players at one time. I was able to double my hourly rate. But here's the best part. Players were getting more time with me, and it was going to cost them less money because we were able to spread that cost over 4 players as opposed to just 1. So they're getting almost twice as much coaching from me for half the money. And I'm going to guarantee the result. Pretty cool. My total active students went way up. Again, when I started this, I was very restricted, about 10 students a week. If I was able to work with or do kind of a clinic, I was able to work with maybe 14. But then as I continued to progress, now here we are in October, and I'm working with almost 5 times as many players every week because all of my coaching programs are full. It was a dream come true. And it still is. It's unbelievable. I'm able to work the hours I want to work. So put it this way, if I work and I've got a coaching session before lunch and a coaching session after lunch, and say both of those coaching sessions happen to be on course. So I allow up to 2.5 hours for my 9-hole on course sessions. So I'm on course for 2.5 hours in the morning. I break for a half an hour for lunch. And then I do another 2.5 hour coaching session after lunch. And I've worked 5.5 hours for the day, and I go, bye. Or I stay at the facility and I work on my own game, or I go play golf. Crazy, right? I mean, as a PGA professional, I never wanted to be one of those guys who got into the industry and never played golf, right? Isn't that the dirty little secret? Well, I'm a PGA professional, but I never play golf. Well, now I got to start playing golf again. And I got to start working on my own game. And I felt like that was a really important aspect because it adds credibility to your coaching programs if you can play the game a little bit yourself. I mean, how powerful is it when you go, okay, I want you to hit this, little wedge shot or this pitch shot over a bunker. And then your player looks at you like you've got 2 heads, and you step in there, no warm up, and you just pop it right over the bunker. And okay, right, you're a professional, but it's just to reiterate that, look, if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm not asking you to do anything that I can't do myself. And that's really important. That adds credibility and validity to your coaching programs. What I want you to know about me is that I'm somebody, you heard me say at the beginning, just do it. Well, one of the philosophies that I've adopted, that Will came up with, was this idea of ready, fire, aim. And I'm just going to speak for myself. If this sounds like you, that's great. You can take something from it. But I'm a perfectionist. I come up with these ideas. I come up with a program. I want it to go just right. I want it to be perfect. But you know what? Life isn't perfect. It's not linear. And sometimes you got to just get ready. You got to fire, and then you got to recalibrate. Ready, fire, aim. So it's this idea of ready, fire, aim, or just do it. Get off the couch, get out of your chair, and take action. And I think we build up in our minds these huge, we have these huge fears like, oh, what if my players don't want to do this? Players have been asking for a version of this for years. Maybe they didn't know how to put it into words. It's like when players would come up to me and go, I want to be coached. And I'm like, I don't know what to do for you. I can teach you, but I didn't have the time to coach, because coaching is about building relationships with people, and it's about getting vulnerable. And it's about telling somebody, I don't have all the answers, or I'm on the first tee, I'm in an on-course assessment with you, and I'm nervous too, because I'm looking over my shoulder the entire time to make sure that our pace of play is good, that we're keeping up with the group in front of us, and that you can focus on hitting the best possible shot. Or what if you get on an on-course coaching session and somebody starts topping the ball? Oh my gosh. I mean, you could just feel the energy of the entire group will change, like, oh, this person, and then they require your immediate attention. Those things are going to happen, and that's okay. You just need to get out there and you need to do it. And the way to do that is to get coaching. Coaches need to be coached. I need to be coached. I have coaches and mentors now. 2 weeks ago, I went out to visit Will at Empire Ranch Golf Club in Folsom, California. I just needed to be around those guys. I needed to ask them some questions. I wanted to see their operation. I wanted to see how they did it. It gave me a lot of validations as to what I was doing in my own coaching programs. And I just had things that I wanted to ask them. I wanted to be around them. I wanted to be coached. And to this day, I want to be coached. I get a lot of energy, and I take a lot of energy from being on these calls with coaches like you and hearing your success stories, or getting on the RGX community. And I post a Success Story Monday post every Monday, just to share a positive experience that's happened, because there are so many negative things going on all the time. And it's human nature to dwell on the negative, but we also need to celebrate the positive. And I think that's a really healthy thing to do. The way that you continue to gain confidence and retain confidence is by coaching and learning from other coaches. RGX has changed my life in so many ways. And that's why I'm so proud and honored to be on a call like this, because I was just like you. I was sitting in my seat going, this is too good to be true. Like, this doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. And then I just did it. I got ready. I fired the gun, and I was just going to wait and see what happened after that. And it just worked. And I'm here to tell you that it is scary. It's scary to get out of your comfort zone and to do something that you may not have done before. But one of the things that attracted me to RGX in the first place was that it had already been done. The process had already been refined over a period of several years by Coach Will and his team. It already worked. I just needed to implement it. And I just needed to get the buy-in from my facility to be able to do it. And then when I did, and I was getting the results and members were happy, it took care of itself. So RGX has not only changed the way that I coach the game, because it is a completely different mindset when you're now a results-based coach instead of, a servant who's getting paid by the hour and being paid for your time. But it's also changed the way I play the game, because I don't play the game with as much emotion. I don't focus so much on score. I now know a way to play the game where I focus on something else and the score takes care of itself. And that system is called the scoring method. It is so brilliantly simple. It works. And I wish I'd come up with it myself, because it is just brilliant. So what's next for me? Well, my next year, now that I'm at a 90-10 split, my sights are set a little higher. I want to try to make $120,000 or more in my second year. Now, as things kind of change and it looks like the pandemic is shifting, and members have kind of gone away for the summer, went away this summer like they did not do last summer, I see opportunities maybe to coach, for 4 to 6 weeks in a cooler climate, once school gets out at the end of May here in Arizona. But I'm really looking forward to the upcoming season. We've got members starting to come back into town, and my coaching programs are starting to fill up once again. And I'm starting to make new friends and build new relationships. And it's such a fun journey and a fun ride. I'm also assuming a greater role within RGX and the RGX community. You may have seen my RGX community posts, my Success Story Monday posts. And then I'm always on there. If it's not me, another RGX coach or mentor will be on there to answer your questions, your concerns, or to respond to your posts. And then I'm also going to be diving into more on what it means to coach the scoring method. So you've made the transition to results-based group coaching. You're guaranteeing results for your players, but now what? Like, how do you ensure success? And that's the process to me, of coaching. And I'm on this journey and on this path myself to become the best coach that I can be. And I just never stop learning. And so it's been a really exciting journey so far. And I can't wait to see what the next, 6 to 12 months has in store. And I'm here, as I'm sure you are, to continue to revolutionize golf instruction. And I feel like we're at the beginning of a wave. We're on the precipice of something really and truly great. The PGA of America is starting to transition their model over to becoming the modern coach as opposed to an instructor or a teacher. And it's a completely different mindset. People want to be coached, I believe. I think coaches want to be coached. And I think we want to guarantee results for our players. We want them to get better. We want them to be more independent of us and less dependent on us. And RGX is absolutely the way to do it. That's the way to get it done. And it's being done at a very high level worldwide. And you're part of that movement to revolutionize golf instruction. If you're ready to start your RGX journey, go ahead, get out your phone, snap the QR code, or log on to rgxcoach.com/explore. I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you can see my passion for what I do now coming through the screen, because it has absolutely changed my life. I can't believe I'm getting to sit here today and talk to 20 plus other coaches about the journey that I've been on. And before you know it, you'll be in this seat sharing your success stories, because it just works. It's time to just do it. It's time to ready, fire, aim. And you have no reason to be afraid, because you're among friends and you're with people who have done this at a very high level before and can't wait to help you to achieve the same level of success that they've achieved as well. So I'm just going to go quickly to the chat box before I open it up to questions. Tam, thank you so much for getting on the chat box. And I don't know if you read Tam's chat here, but I'll share it with you guys. And Tam, I really enjoyed hearing you on the Mastermind Monday call this week. We talked all about burnout, right? And getting to that situation where we feel like for the last 18 months since the pandemic, we're just wiped, we're exhausted. And the golf industry got this unintended boost in the pandemic that maybe we never thought was going to come, but we're thankful that it did. But now we're kind of, licking our wounds because we're so burned out. So I enjoyed hearing, Tam, I enjoyed hearing you share your story, in Oregon and waiting for that bad weather to come. So Tam says, great testimony. You figured out in a year or two what it took some of us much longer to realize. Amen. The old paradigm was to pay your dues as an assistant for many years and then look for a head golf professional position. And he says he followed that track, became a head golf pro, and was miserable because he couldn't teach as much as he wanted to. So the path, as he was saying, to golf instruction is a lot more accessible. And so one of the objections that I heard, and I'll share this with you, when I was getting ready to leave the shop was, trying to convince management, look, you're going to be taking, if you go over here, you're going to be taking all the lessons from us. There are still so many people out there that believe in the individual one-on-one private lesson model. And I said, look, I'm not doing private lessons anymore. I will send those your way. Well, I just heard the other day through the grapevine that our director of instruction tells one of our associates, one of our assistant professionals, I don't want to teach this much because they have more instruction than they know what to do with. So now I've shown them that you're going to have more business, because it's one thing to say, right? It's another thing to see it. Actions speak louder than words. But I said it was going to happen because it happened at other facilities. And I knew this was going to happen. And now they're coming back to me going, hey, Dan, can you coach these people? Because we don't have time. Amen. That's why I'm here. because I couldn't give them the same amount of attention that I could when I was in the shop. And Tam, that's to your point. I mean, when you're a head golf professional or you're working in the shop, you can't possibly go out and play 9 holes with 4 people at a time for 2.5 hours twice a day. You just can't. It takes you away from the shop. So really appreciate that. Kayla, thank you for sharing your note. I am passionate because I believe in this. And I wish, like Tam was saying, I wish I'd found this so many years earlier. But I found it now. I'm not going to dwell on the past, right? I'm not going to hold on to something I can't control. But I'm telling you, you have an opportunity here, if you want it, to completely change your life. It's already being done at a high level, and you have access to coaches and mentors like me, like Jared, like Will. And this movement is going to start really growing by leaps and bounds, because the message is getting out there that there is a better way, that there is a way for golf professionals to take their lives back, to take their time back, to guarantee results for their players, to have their players enjoy the game more, to play more golf, and to be more valuable to their facilities. And it's through coaching. It's not through teaching, not on the range, not in a one-on-one environment. And that's another thing, if players come up to me and they go, hey, I'd really like a lesson. And I say, well, I don't believe in that. I mean, it kind of makes people, they go, what do you mean? And I tell the story about how, the most common complaint I got was that I can do it here on the range, but I can't do it out there on the course. And I said, you know why that is? I said, because the only way I can simulate the pressure that you feel when you're playing with your buddies on a Sunday morning, you're playing in our men's or women's golf association event, is if there's 4 or 5 of us standing on the first tee and you feel pressure, you feel tension, you've got to train in that environment so that when you go out on the golf course, you're not going, I don't know what to do. I haven't trained like this. And you freak out. Because what we've come to realize, and I know this from personal experience, when our tension level goes up, our skill set goes down and we play worse. And that's why, I'd walk away from a tournament and I go, God, I don't know if I've ever hit a shot like that. What the heck? Tension. So really interesting stuff. Does anybody want to share anything, or does anyone have any questions for me? Feel free to unmute yourself. I know there are a lot of coaches on these calls, but feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand if there's anything you would like to share. I'm just really happy and proud to be on this journey with you. If you have a question for me, you want to post in the RGX community, feel free by all means. This is just the first one of these calls. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to hear from Riley Andrews, who runs several golf academies and is now making several $100,000 a year overseeing these golf academies. I mean, can you even imagine like the possibility and the potential? I mean, you start now with one person and one individual success story, and then all of a sudden it can be like fire. It can catch like fire, and your passion can be ignited, and you're working with all these great people, and it's just awesome. So I'm really, really proud to be here. Corbin, is that you I see on my screen? Would you care to unmute yourself? Oh my gosh, blast from the past. Okay, so this is your life, Dan Bubany. It is April of 2016, and Corbin and I are standing at Golf Academy of America graduation in Phoenix. And now the Golf Academy of America is no more, but we are still in the golf business. How have you been, my man?
I have been good. Good. Thank you for asking. A little fun fact, I am actually currently out of the golf industry. I actually work with Fidelity Investments. I've been here for almost 8 months, but the thing is, I've always had a passion for teaching. I've always wanted to find a way where I can supplement my income teaching again. Yeah. So that is why I'm here today. I wanted to hear kind of your insight and see how everything has been. It sounds like it's been a great process for you.
It has. And this is a great way. So right business gets done on the golf course. If you can coach and play and help other players achieve their goals, well, you may end up getting some more business opportunities for yourself, which is great. And that way you get to combine both of your passions, what you're doing now. And then with the knowledge that you have of the golf industry, it's like, this was an interesting journey for me. I never thought I was going to get out of the television industry, but here I am. And I've got this background in television and this knowledge of golf. And I've kind of been able to kind of marry the two. And that's hopefully what you're doing too. And it's just great to see you, man. I mean, this is golf in such a small world. I'm like, no way. Corbin Disney's on my call. This is awesome. So really cool stuff. And in fact, a lot of the golf academy guys that I graduated with in the spring of 2016, we now play in a fantasy football league together. So I'm able to keep in touch with them too. And it's awesome, man. It's just good to see you. And please, reach out if there's anything we can do for you, because man, you're in the golf business. It's such a small world, and I always share the story that, before I knew it, right. And I'm talking to Will, and then I'm getting on these RGX calls, and this is right around the time Zoom technology is blowing up. So I'm able to learn from the best coaches in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, and Spain, and Great Britain. And it was awesome. I mean, you get up to speed so quickly being part of this community and getting on calls like this, where you can be in the comfort of your own home, or you're on your lunch break, and you're able to get on a call like this, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to take on this next part of my day. And maybe you get an idea or two from here, and you go out there and you implement it, and it's awesome. It's a chance to be on with your friends, once a week. So really cool. Good to see you, man.
Well, good to see you too. I really appreciate this, and overall learned so much. Learned a lot.
We'll hope to see a lot more of you, and maybe catch you on a results-based group coaching boot camp or community call before too long, because the journey is there for you to take, my friend, and you can go as far as you want with it. It's unbelievable. It's a dream. I get emotional.
I love it.
About it.
Well, let's set it up. All
right, my man. Good to see you. Kayla, how are you doing? Why don't you unmute yourself in your Beats headphones there? Too cool for school. How is your new gig going? Kayla just recently trained. I can. Yeah. Okay. How are things going where you are?
It's good. I'm a little overwhelmed. There's some corporate structure here too that I'm still kind of figuring out, like what I have to do versus what I don't have to do, and is just kind of more of a guide. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of online training with everything, and I'm not really sure where to start, but I did start a ladies class just for the month of October. I threw out 3 classes on various times during the week as far as this series goes, and they sold out in 3 days.
Really? You're
Yes.
kidding.
No. So
what's your secret? Because now you're at a brand new facility. I mean, nobody knows who you are. How did you do it?
Well, I think being a female, I certainly have a leg up on all the other staff members here. But I think the ladies especially were just desperate for some kind of structured programming. So I added another class kind of hesitantly because I had only 2 people on a waiting list, and that one sold out as well. So I have 4 classes with 6 ladies. I introduced them to Coach Now. They're all in the same group of Coach Now. So that's been kind of cool to see them all kind of interact. And now they're like scheduling their own times to go play and practice together. And we're only in week 2, but there's a bunch of ladies that like haven't met each other and are going out to play now. And then we've only had 1 lesson.
Okay, so now, look, I'm the host. I'm the one who's sharing the story, and I'm the one who's saying it's too good to be true. But you did it. So explain what your thought process was as you were like, well, should I just do it? And then you sort of just ready, fire, aimed, and just jumped into the deep end. What did you do? How did you overcome that fear?
It was scary for sure. I mean, at a new facility, I wasn't sure who would sign up or like how I would be received at the club for sure. So this program I put out doesn't have any on-course components to it, mainly due to that fear. But it's short game based, knowing that a lot of these ladies shoot 100 plus and they just need to know how to chip and putt. And that's going to build their confidence in shooting lower scores, regardless of how good they hit it off the tee. So I guess I would say I just kind of dove in head first. This new position is definitely what I want to do, what I should be doing. I go home much more excited and much more friendly.
That sounds really healthy. Why? Stop. That doesn't, no, you don't want to be doing that. Yeah. Well, I give you so much credit, because this is just another example of, you don't know what's going to happen. You're not quite sure. Look, you're the new kid on the block. Like, what do I do? And you just did it. You just did it. And you know what? okay, you start off and do off-course coaching sessions until, you start to see your players really getting better and you're starting to gain more confidence yourself. And then what you do, then you take them out on the golf course and they're going to go, that was the coolest thing ever, because that's what everybody says. Every single coach says this. You take someone out to play 9 holes and they come in and you just say, well, what did you think? And they go, that was so cool. I got to play with my coach. I got to play 9 holes with a professional. Like, that's what they all say, but we're so afraid, like, oh, what are they going to think? are they going to like me? I mean, it's like, it's that mentality, ready, fire, aim. And you did it. So congratulations.
I actually took my one-on-one lesson rates off of the website yesterday.
Good for you.
I mean, I think I'll still have to offer a few here and there just because that's what everybody knows, but at least it's not like in your face.
Yeah.
People can't sign up that way.
Well, and you handle it on a case-by-case basis. And if somebody, if you wanted to, instead of maybe doing an hour, maybe you just do a half an hour. You go out there, and what Will say is, look, you go out there, you work on the skill set, you give that player what it is that they need to do to kind of refine or improve that skill set. And then you let them figure it out. What are you going to do standing there with your arms crossed on the range? Hey, good shot. They need to figure it out. And then what you want them to do is to then be able to translate that on the golf course. So then that's your natural transition. You say, well, okay, so you feel like you've got chipping down. Great. Let's go put you in some situations on the golf course, because from my experience, here's what happened. I work with a lot of beginners. And when I would first start teaching a lesson to a beginner, I would go over to the short game area. Sound familiar? I would show them how to hold the club, and then I would show them a little chip shot, really easy short chip shot, and they'd have tremendous success. And then I would take those same players out on the golf course who had experienced success on the short game area, and it was like they'd been struck by lightning. It was like blade, chunk, chip. What happened to you from there to the first hole? Because there's so much tension, they don't know how to transition it. So if you can get them to feel confident or comfortable with the skill set, and then you've got to put them in an environment on the course, and this is how you start to kind of transition yourself out onto the golf course, there's no way to fail, because eventually they're going to have to play the golf course themselves. So get them in the environment. And no 2 rounds of golf are the same, right? That's why it's the imperfectible game, because the environment is always changing. The lie is always changing. The grass is changing. The weather conditions are changing. The pin location is changing. You're not going to hit the exact same shot every time. So the more we can get out on the golf course in an ever-changing environment, the better off we're going to be, because we give our players a false sense of security when we're on the driving range and they're a perfectly flat lie and they hit a squib or a bad shot and they go, oh, I'll just get another ball and bring it in here. And then they hit a great shot. It's like, that's not real golf. So really good stuff. Scott Weiss here just adds in the chat, use your private lessons to build rapport and educate your students to transition to group and on-course instruction. Perfect. Your private lessons are like a marketing tool. Here's a great way too to generate some leads, right? What if you go out there and maybe you are looking to fill a coaching program and you're not full maybe on a Wednesday or a Thursday morning like today. Go out there and start on the practice green and start practicing as a professional. Set up your 1-putt circle on the putting green and start rolling some putts from 3 feet and then go back to 4 feet and then start doing some lag putting or two-putt circle exercises. See if players don't come over to you and go, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you know what? I'm a PGA professional, or, I've been in the golf industry for X amount of years. And I'll be honest with you, until about a year ago, even I didn't know how to practice, but now I do. And I'm able to transition these skill sets onto the golf course now because I practice under pressure and I train hard to play easy. And then they'll go, oh, that sounds really interesting. Hey, would you like to go play golf sometime? Done. You got them. Who's going to look at you and go, oh, I don't want to play golf with you. People don't do that because they have an opportunity to play with their professional. And especially, Kayla, like for you, if you're new at a facility, say, hey, maybe you look on the tee sheet and you see that there's a threesome and you want to just, hey, can I join you? Can I be your fourth? And then you just start playing with them and you start a conversation. It's all about starting conversations with people and putting yourself out there. And if you're more introverted, then put yourself out there by just going through an off-course practice session yourself. Work on your own game. I had 2 guys in the last week. I'm just hitting golf balls on the range. One guy comes up and he goes, I see him kind of walking over like he's my shadow. And I'm like, can I help you? And he said, oh, are you a teacher here? And I said, oh, I said, I'm a coach. And then we started having a conversation. And before I know it, I got another lead just by hitting golf balls, right? Just by working on my own game. I was just out there. I had a couple of funky looking training aids and I'm working on a couple of things. And before you know it, I got a lead out of it. And that's a way to put yourself out there without putting yourself out there. You're not going up to people, but you're inviting people to come up to you and to come into your circle and to what it is that you're doing and just ask you questions, and they end up starting the conversation and then you get to continue it. And that's a real comfortable way if you maybe are a little bit more introverted to start conversations. Guys, this has been absolutely awesome. I can't tell you how much I appreciate getting to share my story with you. Please find me on the RGX community page, post questions, post comments, post your success stories. This is how we're all going to get better, because now you're in a coaching community, and part of revolutionizing golf instruction is just like we do, hopefully, with our players. We're individuals, but we're learning in a team environment. And that's what RGX is. RGX is a team environment, and RGX has some of the best coaches, I believe, in the whole world. And you're part of that community. So if you're not, rgxcoach.com/explore, and let's start your RGX journey. Let's get you getting some insane results, getting your name out there, getting to a new facility, coaching those ladies up like Kayla's doing, and let's just go get it. Let's go take it down. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Be well.